Hi, this is Jamie with Flower Shop Network here at SAF's Growth Solutions Conference in Dallas. And today with me is Geof Weissman of Kantar Retail. Welcome, Geof.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about Kantar?
Sure. Kantar Retail is a leading retail and CPG company, consulting company. And our goal really is to be the definitive source with regards to how the shopping experience is changing, how shoppers are evolving, and really then what that means for suppliers and retailers throughout the entire retail industry and what they need to do to maximize their business and to take advantage of the trends that we see happening in the industry.
And your presentation tomorrow speaks upon that in all forms.
That's correct. It really does. It looks at really three different things just in terms of really what's the economic situation currently today. So really what's going on with the shopper, what's impacting her and her wallet and the decisions that she's making, where is she being pulled from a budget perspective, spending on herself, spending on others, spending on her family. It looks at then really what is going on with the shopper, what's changed over the last few years. What are the new and different tools that the shopper now has and how that's impacting how she's interacting with retailers, with stores, with websites, with social media sites, and then also how is the competitive landscape changing in terms of response to that.
And in fact, shoppers have really changed a lot over the last decade. But can you give us some idea of what the biggest difference is between shoppers 2 years ago and shoppers today?
It's an interesting question because from a couple different perspectives. First, I would say, two years ago we were really right in the middle of the recession. It was coined the Great Recession, and today we're supposed to be kind of out of that part of the recession, but we've kind of slipped back a little bit just in terms of the strength of that recovery. So there's some similarities just in terms of the pressures that are on shoppers in terms of where they're looking to, how they're spending their money, how they're dividing up their wallet. So we're within not a negative growth environment anymore where people we're not doing any discretionary spending. We're not looking to spend things in terms of lavishly with regard to gifts and to big ticket type of products. But we're at the point now that we do have some moderate growth, which is something that's obviously very good for those stores that are out there, people that are interested in terms of where the business is going. In terms of how things have really changed over the last 2 years, there's a lot of talk in the industry that really that 2009 was kind of the coming out year for online retailing and specifically for Amazon.com. If you look at the share of sales that went to the online channel, the couple years before that it was relatively flat. And then in 2009 it really started to take off. And over the next 5 years, that's one of the things that's going to occur is that online sales are forecasted almost to double in terms of their percent of the retail sales. That's still a relatively small percent. It's basically going from about 5.5% to we think it's going to be about 10% in 2015 and 2016. So really that pull toward the internet is really one of the big changes from the shoppers. A lot of that is, or some of that is from the devices that people now have available. Other things are just in terms of that online retailers have done a very good job in terms of starting to build those relationships, and there's a lot of convenience reasons that people are spending more of their money online than they were just a couple years ago.
And as you're saying, technology, that ability to be online shopping has really kind of changed the shopping atmosphere. But what technology do you think is really affecting shoppers more than any other technology right now?
Well, the kind of the technology du jour, the technology of the day, are a lot of the aggregating sites, the Groupons of the world, the social living. Those are really that are making a big splash here just recently in terms of very quickly getting a lot of people, things happening on, getting a lot of traction very quickly. A lot of people using them. Blowing up servers, just kind of problems that really hadn't happened with the online.com business for years, for a long time. Now there's still a lot of questions in terms of those models. How are they going to work? Do they work for established retailers? Do they just things in terms of build brand awareness? But can you really drive a drive loyalty and then also develop a relationship with the customer through those, or is it just really one stage of the process? So there's still a lot to figure out there.
And there's a new technology every day.
There's a new technology every day, and there's a lot of copycats. And kind of tying that back to the question you had earlier about the shopper, the shopper is changing, but there's a lot of different segments, and segments are getting cut finer and finer in terms of what retailers are focused on. I mean, at the big picture, it's kind of the baby boomers are getting to that point where they're kind of morphing out of being the main focus of retailers, and then the offspring of the baby boomers are coming up, the Generation Y, and those are the folks that have grown up with the technology. That it's really part of their DNA. It's really part of who they are. It's an appendage of them. So that's really going to start. Well, that hasn't just happened over the last 2 years. Looking forward, that's going to really change how there's interaction between shoppers, between retailers, between products, and how that evolves going forward.
So, because the atmosphere in which the customer is constantly adapting to because of technology, because of their aging demographic or whatever, are there any specific insights that you can give us on what is changing with the habits of the consumer? Is the basic habit still there, and just the platform in which they're acting upon, changing them, or is it still the same consumer habits as always, and they're just doing it differently?
I think they're just doing it differently. I mean, I think if you think of that, they're still really what the shopper is trying to do is they're trying to solve a problem, or they're trying to address a need, whether that has to do with replenishing their refrigerator, whether that has to do with buying gifts for special occasions. So the needs and the solutions are not really changing. I mean, from a demographic perspective, those type of things change very, very slowly over time. It's just the tools and the access, and then people really starting to get to that point where it's not just something that people are using on the fringes, but it's becoming more of a mass tool, that we're getting to that tipping point. So it seems like there's a whole lot of change going on, where it's really just been coming very slowly for a while, and then people really are taking off with it. And then, of course, things that just in terms of just the success of things like the iPad and those type of things that have happened very fast, and people are still trying to figure out what to do with those. But all of those are seen as things that are changing the process and changing the interaction between the store and between the shopper, and then also throughout the entire supply chain.
Which is really, really interesting to me, how shoppers are really reacting to using their mobile devices or their iPads, where, in the past you stepped into the store, and as a retailer, I know my husband has a nursery and garden center, and the way we react with our customers now is a little bit different. We actually, have sold stuff through Facebook or mobile devices, because they can, text him and say, I need this or I need that.
Right. There's a lot of people that are experimenting and trying a lot of different things. Some of them are going to work and stick, and some of them aren't going to. But once again, kind of going back to that question that you said at the beginning about for over 2 years and really what's changed, if you think of things in terms of, there were a lot of behaviors that came out of the recession that really have stuck with us, and the technology has helped do that. There's a lot of people that are looking more now, that are still looking for value. Value is a continued focus that's stuck out of the recession, and looking for coupons online, or being willing to give your email address through an app so that it'll send you deals so that you're not missing of those. Shoppers are willing to make those types of investments if they see a return on that. And then short term, some of those, what you were talking about, I mean, we have all the gasoline price and a lot of inflation that's going on, so people, once again, are very cautious about what they're spending, where they're going, how often they're going to stores, looking to eliminate store shopping trips, and at times where the technology and an online channel can do that and can still get them the products they want, and then they don't have to get in the gas guzzlers and drive to the store to buy those products.
Yeah. Well, I really look forward to tomorrow's presentation, because I think it's probably going to be one of the most exciting for me to really understand the shopper. Because if we understand the shopper, we can help them with their needs, and we can sell our product that way.
We firmly believe at Kantar Retail that everything has to start with the shopper. There are just, you can look back in the history of retailing and a litany of things that people did simply because you could do it. but you have to understand really who is your shopper, whether that's the shopper on a national basis, whether that's the shopper that's coming in your store on a regular basis, whether that's the one that you're delivering product to, really getting to know that person, that group intimately, and then understanding what makes the most sense, and using that then to make decisions in terms of what you're going to invest in, what type of technology and tools you're going to go after, and whether or not they make sense. And they might not make sense for everyone, depending on who that shopper is in that market or who you're dealing with, but for others they will.
Geof, thank you for being with us today, giving us a little insight as to what your presentation is going to be about tomorrow.
My pleasure.
This is Jamie with Flower Shop Network at SAF's Growth Solutions Conference.